know each other. Good evening, entrepreneurs. Joe DiChiara here once again with another amazing episode of the Joe DiChiara Show. And I named that after me, obviously. If you don't know me, I am a CPA, serial entrepreneur, and I show up here almost every night to try to entertain and educate you. And I don't know how good I am at it. That's why I ask very smart people to join me once in a while, and so I can interview them and pick their brains and learn something from them. And tonight we have a dear friend of mine, mastermind member, Susie Fabrocini. How are you, Susie?
I'm great. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Hi, I've been trying to get you on the show for a long time. You kept dodging me.
I'm glad to be here.
So tell me a little bit about, because I was on your website. I want to share this with people because I didn't realize you're a filmmaker. I know you're an author. You're a serial entrepreneur. You teach people. You teach specifically women how to invest money. And you're a real estate investor, right?
Right.
So where do we start? I mean, look at the speaker, filmmaker, entrepreneur. I don't think you even have to say serial entrepreneur. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah. I come from an arts background. And, most artists and most entertainers they're not focusing on building up their finances. And a lot of artists have the feeling like when they chose art as a career, they chose living in poverty, basically. That's the sacrifice you make to be an artist, which isn't really true, but that's just sort of how we're conditioned. And then a lot of people, then also people in the entertainment. See, I worked both in the arts world and the theater world, where poverty was the mentality. And then I also worked in the television and film industry, where easy come, easy go was the mentality. Neither of those areas were conducive to studying finance. And it happened to me because I kind of grew up with the mentality that that I was broke, but I wasn't poor. That I lived amongst a lot of people. Some of them were poor. They had the poor mentality, and some of them had the broke mentality that this was temporary. And I had the broke mentality. But then at that time, I was single, and when you're single, you can get by on nothing. And when I had two little girls and I ended up being a single mom, all of a sudden it was really important for me to handle my finances because I had two other humans to support.
Okay. So I get, so that's when it became important for you.
Yeah.
But you bring up a couple of interesting things, because Napoleon Hill actually tells a story about a musician that I think he wanted to help. And it was just like what you said. The guy just had, well, I'm a musician. I'm supposed to be broke. And Napoleon Hill said it wasn't that he was a musician. It was his mindset.
Yeah.
And I never realized. So you're also an artist. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So that's interesting, and I believe it, but not many people really talk about it the way that you talk about it. And you told me a story, maybe you want to share it, that I thought was pretty powerful, about you, what was it, the little girl, Shirley Temple.
So everybody has a money story. And some people's money story supports them in having money come to them easily. And some people's money stories do other things for them, like mine. My money story romanticized being poor, because I grew up, when I was little, I used to sit in the big comfy chair in the corner of the TV room and watch the old black and white Shirley Temple movies. And in all of her movies, Shirley Temple was the poor little girl who was noble and good and generous, and everybody loved her. And the wealthy people around her were always kind of shallow. And she helped them to take their lives to another level. She, you know, she had a good influence on them. And so she was always the good little poor girl. And it just seemed like being good and noble and poor was kind of the way to go. And it seemed so romantic. And when I first moved to New York, I remember I would walk by and you look up, and I'd walk through Chelsea and look up at the windows, and at Christmas time you could see inside that they were all decorated up, and I would wonder how their lives were, because I was doing the poor little match girl role.
Right.
And I was taking that on. And so what I have realized is that I need to change my money story. And so I decided to sit down and rewrite my story, or rewrite that story. So I rewrote a story about a little girl who had lots of money because she was always helping other people. And as a result, she got paid. And the more people she helped, the more money she had. And so she's also noble and good and generous, and everybody loves her. And so I'm changing the money story. And so in the future, I'm going to do a workshop about that to help a lot of other people change their money stories. Because when you look at it, you have your first money story from when you first encountered money as a little child, about what your interpretation of money was. And then as you get older, like around your adolescence, your money story takes on a different kind of a thing, depending on your peers, your peer group. And so you get another feeling about money. And some people, depending on the peer group they fall into, they end up building up this resentment about money because they don't have enough of it. And they build up a story about why they don't. And sometimes there's a lot of resentment and anger with that. And so then when they become adults, if they carry that story with them, it holds them back. And so we want to look and see what our stories are, and whether they're supporting us having money or if they're getting in our way.
So this could help me tremendously in my coaching business, because I run into people all the time that have money issues, and it comes up and we don't realize it. I mean, I had my own money issues, and I didn't know where it came from, but there was something holding me back. Mm-hmm. You know, and I actually hired a coach to help peel away, you know, what was it? And it was the fear of success. You know, so I had to, you know, try to lift that. But it's interesting that, you know, when you were telling that story, I was thinking about the March of the Wooden Soldiers for some reason, with little Bo Peep and the mother that couldn't pay the rent. And that's, you know, we are shaped from when we're little. And I grew up watching those Shirley Temple movies too. And, you know, I hear you. And so you actually wrote a story.
Yeah. So I rewrote the story, and then I rewrote that part of the story. I'm going to flesh it out some more, and I'm going to actually publish it as a book with my old story and my new story, and some other stories around that as well. Because I think it's really important for us to take control of where our mindset is leading us.
So how did you, so when you had your daughters and you had to start educating yourself about money, right? Yeah. So how did you go about doing that?
I met this woman who was 29 years old at the time, and she was an actress and a model, and she had previously been living with her boyfriend on a boat because they were so broke, and she decided she had enough of that, and she decided to start educating herself about money. And she educated herself about money so well that she was retired at 29. And so she started to give me books to read, and the first one was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And
Okay.
to just change your whole basic mindset about money. And then she was giving me one book at a time. She went through several of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad volumes, and then started giving me other ones. And then I also started to go, and I was going to seminars and things because I knew that I'm smart and I'm not afraid of working really hard. And I thought, why am I not wealthy? I should be wealthy. I have everything it takes to be wealthy. Why am I not wealthy? And I just felt like there's a little switch in my head that just needs to be flipped, but I didn't know how to get to it. And so I was doing a combination of educating myself about the actual rules around money, but at the same time also going to different seminars where they would talk more about the money mindset, and kept working with all of those. So I could talk for years about all that stuff because I've heard it from so many different directions about how it all works. I was at a thing called it was a millionaire mindset program in Vegas. And a chiropractor came up to me and he said that you can test yourself, your body, to see, like how we have sort of like internal thermostats for what we weigh. And we can go on a diet, but then we gain the weight back again. Or we gain weight, but we know that that's not our real weight. So we bring it down to our real weight. And we have the same thing for our money. And so he had me hold my arm out and he pushed on it and he said, okay, say I can have $1 million. And so I said, I can have $1 million. And he went, and then he said, okay, now say I can have 500,000. And I said, I can have 500,000. And it went down. And he kept on doing it till he get to the point where I could make $50,000 in a year. And then it stayed. And he was like, that's where your thermostat is set. And then he turned and walked away. And I ran after him. Whoa, 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 whoa. You can't meet me like this. How do I change it? And he was practicing a certain kind of a chiropractor thing where they break down your resistance.
Yeah, it's like it's amazing. I studied that, and I had a friend that was doing it, and it's like what you believe. Like once you get to what you believe, you get that's, and it's kind of spooky, but it works.
Well, it was able to tell me where my thermostat was set, but it really didn't, I couldn't figure out how to make it help me change that.
Right, it gives you a measurement, but now how do you make it like for the million?
Right, and I think that it's more complicated than one thing that can help you fix it all. I think there's like all different levels depending on how deep the roots go with your story. So for me, a big step was reframing things for myself. Like, I used to go into all those goal setting seminars and stuff where we would set a goal. And they'd say, okay, set a goal for how much money you want to make this year. And then you say, 100,000. And they say, okay, now double it. So then you go, okay, so 200,000. They say, now double that. And then you go, okay, 400,000. They say, okay, that's your number. And I'd be sitting there going, well, that's not going to happen. And so if you don't believe it's going to happen, it's not going to happen. And so that never worked for me. And then one day I was thinking, when I'm working, I don't often work for other companies, but when I do, I'm able to make them lots of money because I'm a really good worker and I am good with people. So if I'm in a position where I'm dealing with people or clients, I'm usually can be really good at that and I can make money for the company I'm working for. God forbid I make money for myself, but I can make money for other companies. So I went, well, what if I made up a company and then I started to make money for the company?
Wow.
And, oh yeah, could I grow a company to multi-million? Oh yeah, sure, I could do that. Well, then why don't I do that and make up a company that make my own company? And that way it's not my money that I'm making the money for. It's for the company. And then that makes it okay for me somehow. And it was that reframing. And and I don't know if you can tell somebody else how to reframe something. They kind of, I don't know, I stumbled upon it. Nobody for years, nobody was able to help me figure out what I needed to do. And then I just stumbled on it.
Well, this came up sort of in the mastermind meeting today that we had, and it was, I forget what it was, but it became, the solution was become your own best client. Like apply to yourself what you would tell a client. And we don't do that, but I love, that's like what you just gave me is a practical, simple way to look at it, because Susie, I've done the same thing. I've helped so many people make a lot of money, and you're right. It's almost like somehow we don't. I don't know.
It feels
It's some kind.
I'm making it for myself somehow.
Yeah, right. It's that syndrome, that like poor little girl syndrome.
Exactly. And it's trying to change that thinking, the thinking that's so deep inside of me, because like I went to Catholic school when I was little. I went to Catholic school for 13 years, but it's always about helping other people and giving what you have and sharing whatever you have. And so keeping things to yourself is kind of frowned upon. So when I was thinking in terms of how much money do I want to make for me, it just was incongruent with me, with my personality. But when I started to think in terms of my company that I'm building up as a legacy for my children and my family and even my ex-husband, now it gives me a higher purpose. Okay. And so now it also becomes a little bit of a challenge, like how fast can I get this company to $4 million worth in assets? And it's outside of me. So it just, and I'm not saying that that's the way to go. And I'm not saying that that's the healthy way to look at it. I'm just saying that that's what I came up with that works for me, because it is what it is. And so I'm working with what I got here. So I just.
And I think that's an important point, because everybody's like searching, that everybody wants the answer, but it's not the same answer for everybody. That's right. We all got to find what works for us, and that's been coming up a lot in the mastermind meetings as well. It's like, listen, it's not like one size fits all. But and Napoleon Hill also, he had his own like board of directors that he reported to. And, I think I'm going to try incorporating this, because listen, when it's almost like you're holding yourself accountable, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like now you're accountable to this business. Right. And, Brendan Bouchard, and this, I'm studying this Brendan Bouchard thing. Mm-hmm. I like holding this up because you see it gets like invisible. Yeah,
like it's see-through.
But his thing, one of his 6 tenets that he teaches is like raising necessity, making it more important. So what you just said also, that it's not just about you anymore. It's about your legacy and helping other people, right?
Right. Exactly. So that I can become wealthier by helping other people. So even with the businesses, and I have 3 businesses, and they all involve helping other people, that helps me to feel like I'm doing my part in the world. And especially I think as we get older too, because when we're younger, everything's about us. We're sort of like studying our belly buttons and figuring out our place. And then when we get older, when we're in the middle part of our life, it's more like trying to evaluate where we are and what we've done. But when we get older, in the 3rd phase, it's more about giving back so that the world knows you were here, because now it's becoming more obvious that we're not going to be here forever. And when we leave, we want somebody to remember that we were here. We want to have made a difference. And so that becomes the important thing. How much difference can I make now before I'm gone? So
yeah, and I believe that what you're doing is you're going to make a big difference, and not only for the people that you're going to be working with directly, but you know, you're when you could teach somebody, what do they say? You can give a man a fish and feed him for a day, but if you can teach him how to fish, you know, you'll feed him for forever. And I love. So you're working on a project, right? Are you working on this course?
oh yeah, I'm working on lots of projects, but the one that's coming up starting Sunday, I'm doing a free 7-day money club. And so every day from Monday through the following Sunday, I'm going to be talking on a different topic in my Facebook group. And so I have a Facebook group. It's for women only. I'm sorry, but
I'll get dressed up as a woman like the guy in the Titanic.
It's in the mornings, I'm going to do a Facebook Live in the group, and it'll be about a different topic. So like the first day, I'm going to talk about the 7 financial principles that you have to know. And then it'll stay up in Facebook for the day so that by the evening, hopefully everybody's had a chance to watch it. And then we're going to do a Zoom Q&A so that people can ask their questions about it. And then the next day, we'll do one on cash management. And then the next day it'll be we'll do something different every day and cover lots of ground on some of the basic things that we want to understand about finance, about personal finance, to give us the foundation to be able to grow our personal empires. But we have to start learning what the rules are. And then you got it, like Einstein, I think, was it, that said you have to learn the rules of the game, and then you have to play them better than everybody else.
I like that. I never heard that one. But what I like about you is you sort of take an approach towards financing like I do to business. And it's like, listen, there's certain things that you got to do, and that they go in order, right? And so you were describing like how you pick stocks, and you know, you're very like, you know, yeah, you start with the mindset, but then you got to do stuff. Right? You got to take action, and that's what, you know, I really wish that you would let at least a few men take your course.
Well, you know, Willie was asking me about that. If I get enough guys that say that they want to have a course, then I'll put one together for the guys.
Well, you know, one thing I've learned is I started studying about marketing, how to attract the right clients to me, is that men and women don't think the same.
No, they don't.
I mean, it sounds like juvenile, like of course they don't, but I mean, we have totally different points of view on money and business. I mean, is that accurate?
Oh yeah. I mean, and that's why I keep the men separate out of the group, because they'll slow everybody down because they'll keep arguing with you. And so that's why, you know, if there were enough men that wanted to hear what I had to say, I would do a separate group for the men to hear about money from the way I see it. Because it's not for men who like to show off and do all the, well, when this chart goes this way and this chart goes that way, and that's not how I do stocks. And so if they wanted to hear because I have a different way of doing it from what most men are accustomed to hearing. And I'd be happy to share that with them if they're not going to spend the whole time arguing with me about it. Because I love to share with people the way that I see things, because it's all about me then. But I really like to share the stuff that I've come up with for years of doing research.
Right. Your stuff works. Your stuff works because you've gotten the results. It's not like you're teaching somebody out of a book that, you know, this is stuff that you've done, just like how I run a business. I'm like, listen, you got to be structured properly. You got to have bookkeeping. I mean, these are things that you have to have.
Right. And like a basic thing that maybe this is something that gets in the way of women more than men. I don't know. But taking the emotion out of financial decisions is so important, because every money decision is an emotional decision. Was that a timer?
No, that was the phone that I thought I shut off.
I thought maybe that was telling me I've got to wrap it up or something.
But yeah, we should wrap it up soon, because people don't like to spend that much time watching videos. I'm going to post this up on YouTube.
About money and numbers and so forth. But money is very emotional. So I teach people to automate as much as possible, so that you don't waste time making lots of mini decisions that you have to keep making over and over again. And each decision takes a little piece out of your heart, because there's all this emotion around money. Even if we're not realizing it or noticing it, it's there. And so it takes up time and energy. If we can automate it and not have to think about those things every time, it saves us time, and it will save us money and stress.
And I was going to say, and stress, all of those decisions. I'm like, you're sucking some energy out of me. But unfortunately, you're right about the men, because that's just what we do. And John Limbacher taught me a lot about that, and it goes back to when we were evolving, and apparently we haven't evolved that much. Because that's a whole nother story, but that's the way it is. But so if you're a woman, how do they find you? They just search Susie Fabrocini?
No,
how do they find you?
What they should do is they want to find my Facebook group, because there's so much value inside the group, because that's where I put the stuff that I won't put out in public. I don't want to be made fun of or argued with. If the way to find it is in Facebook groups. If you go to like facebook.com/groups/She Talks Money.
She Talks Money.
Yeah. And then they'll come to my group. My group is called Women and Girls Talking About Money. But it's harder to find it. If you search by the name of it, it doesn't come up as easily if you use She Talks Money.
Okay. All right. So if you want to find Susie, search for Susie Fabrocini. Or go to groups and go to She Talks Money. But
search She Talks Money, then you'll find it that way. And then you have to ask to be let into the group. You have to answer 3 questions, so I know you're a real person and you're not a bot, because I protect my ladies. And
awesome.
Then you can join the group, and it'll be fun, and it's going to be really informative, and you will hear stuff that you haven't heard before. You'll hear stuff that you have and things that you haven't heard before.
Yeah, and that's why I like bringing people with different ideas on old stuff. And you definitely bring. I don't know. You have like a quality of explaining things in simple terms and making it like, oh yeah, how come I'm not doing that? And it becomes like, it's so obvious I should be doing this. So yeah, let me know if you ever do the men's thing. You can count me in, and I'll help you. I'll find some men that are quiet and won't argue with you. Okay. So any parting words, any words of wisdom that you'd like to share with people?
I want to say that if you feel like you don't know anything about money or how it works, do not feel bad about that, because society has let you down. They don't teach about it in school the way they should. And parents subconsciously pass down messages to their kids that they don't realize they're passing down. And that's unfortunate, and it's going to take a while to change it, because I have to talk to everybody and get them to realize what they're saying. But it's not your fault. And just start learning, and know that, especially if you're a woman, you will understand it a lot faster than you think you will, and you'll understand it a lot faster than the guy next to you will, because he's going to pretend that he knows, but you're going to be intent on really learning how it goes, and that's the truth. So
Okay.
Just come and join my group. It'll be fun, ladies. The problem is we don't talk to each other enough. Men talk about money with each other, and they don't have a problem with it. Women don't talk about money. So that's what my space is for. And that's why we call it Women and Girls Talk About Money, because the more you talk about it, the more comfortable you get. And you get a chance to learn from each other. We can all share the stupid things we did and the really smart things that we did. And that way we learn from each other instead of having to learn from just our own tripping over ourselves.
So it's like a mastermind group.
Yes, it is. It's just like a mastermind group.
And you also have a pretty nice sized meetup group, correct?
Well, we folded it in because when COVID hit, we couldn't meet in person anymore. We used to meet. So a lot of those people that were regulars from there are now in the Facebook group. So it's a nice community of women that a lot of us already know each other, and we certainly welcome more people to come in and get to know us all, because yeah, it's a fabulous group of women, and a lot of them know different aspects of money. Everybody has their own different strengths. Some people don't know anything about it at all, and they're learning everything from scratch, and that's fine, and that's great, because we love to help you. But there's also a lot of people in there that we can all learn from, that I can learn from.
Yeah, and sometimes people know more than what they thought they know.
Oh yeah, yeah, because I think it's obvious and that everybody knows that.
Yeah, so this is what I'd like to do. I have Mastermind with Joe DiChiara. We still meet every Saturday, and we're going to start doing trainings, like mini trainings. And I would love to get you maybe next Saturday and talk about what you just talked about. The fact that whatever it was that you just said, because it's important, because these are people, some of them are clients of mine, and I'm trying to help people make money. Okay, that's my gig. Mm-hmm. And you can't make money if there's some kind of block. I had 2 clients actually say, I can't ask people for money. Well, that's going to be a problem if you want to sell something.
That's right. That's right. And I totally get it. And so for them, they need to reframe it so that they get over the fact that they're not asking for money for themselves.
Right. And coming from you will make all the difference. So we'll have to, schedule that. So thank you so much, Susie. This has been great.
Sure.
It's always great to talk to you, and good luck with the challenge.
Oh, thanks. I'm very excited. It's going to be lots of fun. And it's been so fun here talking with you too, Joe. Anytime you want to chat, please.
Oh yeah. Definitely. We didn't even touch the surface yet.
Oh yeah.
Some of the stuff that you do. So the story will to be continued. And so that's our story. We're sticking with it, folks. Coming to you live from downtown Flushing, New York. And you're in Iowa.
I'm in Boise, Idaho.
Boise, Idaho. Oh, cold. The potato capital. I love those potatoes.
That's right.
All right, everybody. Good night. Have a good weekend, and we will see you soon.
Bye.